Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for liking and subscribing these videos to help grow the Sangha, our Bodhisattva mission. Yes? So, continuing with my forward here on the 3,000 realms, I mention here that prior to Shakyamuni, the name given to the enlightened Siddhartha Gautama, son of King Suddhodana, the common understanding and usage of the ideas or the word karma was that karma was received or imposed on persons, you and I, by some heavenly forces, personified as deities, right? And that those were defined by, this is really authoritarian, but by the elite. Brahmin monks would come on a special day to your home when your family was to be assembled to receive them, feed them, honor them as the intellectual class in India. And they would then deliver upon you what your life was going to be. Not least of which made easier by the caste system, right? In India, to this day, the caste system, you were born to a shoe cobbler and his wife, his vessel of birthing. So you can do anything for the rest of your life as long as it's working with shoes. You're a cobbler. What's that? You want to build houses? No. You're of this caste. You're of the cobbler class. Caste. See, it's not a class, it's a caste. You are put into this slot. You want to be a house builder? You better make friends with someone from that caste. They're a little more important than your caste. We need houses more than we need shoes. But, if you can befriend one, maybe they'll work with you to build a house for you, but you can't build the house. They can build the house because they are of the house building caste. And that was part of your karma, assigned to you really by those controlling the society. The politicians, the elites, in the guise of spiritual advisement. It's upsetting, but you know what's really upsetting is that thousands of years later, we're still dealing with that mentality. Is that not insane? Even in the United States, the most free country in the world. Oh, gosh. Have you tried to move out of your class lately? The definition just becomes broader. This imaginary middle class, which now is striated so much it's almost not even, it's meaningless to say middle class. You're either poor or you're bloody rich. Everything in between you're just a tool. The ones of you who have more money than the poor are kept in place to scare the shit out of you so you keep doing the bidding of the elite. It's an old story, folks. But I digress. Sorry about that. So, my point is that karma was this enforcement of authoritarian structures in society. It was politics. And Shakyamuni comes along and says, let's use that word differently, shall we? Instead of, and it was important that he used that word because it essentially, that word stood for everything your life was about, your limitations as well as your qualifications. And what Shakyamuni did it was to come to you and say, you know that thing that you call karma? That's under your control. What? Yeah. It's not given to you by saintly deities or political office or people smarter than you. You are a product of karma, and you influence that karma with every moment you breathe. Every moment of your life, you are interacting, and therefore you have agency. Really? I have power? Yes. You can influence that karma, not defined by Bob the Brahmin or Modi the president, but by your willful actions. Now, if you want to define what a revolutionary is, Shakyamuni was a big old troublemaker. Siddhartha, the king's son, probably got away with a lot of this dialogue just because of who he was. So what? What he was saying was extremely powerful. And why is this important? Because this is the seed. This is the seed that leads to, well, it really doesn't matter so much what got me here, what color my skin is, what socioeconomic system I got plopped into. That's my karmic lotus flower. What matters is, what do I do with this? How do I blossom? Whatever my swamp is. Right? Is it a silver spoon in my mouth, which completely distorts my observations of reality? Is it being born in the dirt in some mud hut? Is that really different? Certainly it looks different. Certainly it forms my epistemology differently. But karma's karma. I have agency. I can affect the way I experience this, how I blossom through it. Ultimately, experiencing what isn't tainted by caste or karma, the whole of life. The whole of life is the whole. You and I don't have different universes we live in. Our samsaric mind sees it in its own way as a separate universe. That's what you hear in these dialogues from a lot of discussions on Buddhism. Your universe, my universe. Yeah, okay, but that's a perceptive problem, not a reality. When you and I open Buddha-ness, when we make Gohonzon our goal, get into that equanimous Buddha mind, there is no difference between you and I, or them, or us, or the universe, anything in it. This is a very, very politically challenging point of view. Because how can you be controlled? How can you be made to do things in the service of others? Of course, as Buddhists, we are living in the service of others, but not for economic purposes, but for enlightened purposes. Equanimous, appreciation for life, something akin to love, but not the love that we talk about all the time in books and politics and society. That's about breeding. That's about pairing up. And there's value in that, but that's not what we're talking about in Buddhism. We're talking about a deep sense of involvement in the engine of life. That's a big deal. And it all leads to this idea of agency, which has been clichéified over the years in different ways, yeah. Your life is what you make of it. Bingo. But it's also been distorted back into that authoritarianship. You are what you this. You are what you Your actions are, it gets molded into representational aspects of society. Oops. Life is life. Life is about life. It's for life. It's to be experienced. Not quantified and colored and cut out and Then this idea of karma, this idea of this interaction with what seems to be a physical reality, all of a sudden it's disconnected from the way physical reality is perceived. The you part of you, the mind part of you. So then karma, instead of being some enforced parameter, it's just part of the formations. It's just part of the energy at work. Well, there it is again. Energy plus action equals karma. It's really simple. There's no good, bad, or indifferent in that. It's just the process. What you now do with it, that's on you. That's why I can't say, here's some Buddha-ness, eat that, and you'll be enlightened. You can do that all day long. I can claim that I'm the only one who can show you how to do it. All of that. Manipulations, anger, politics, stupidity. It's yours. It's yours. It's already happening. It's like the person living in the house with no windows or doors. Until you open a door or make a window, until you pass through it, what do you know? I can't do it for you. I can try to show you where the door is. I can tell you with all sincerity, please open the door. Maybe walk outside for a minute. That may scare you to death. Or it may excite you. Wow, really? There's something? But you have to open the door. You have to open the window. All right, where do I go from there? Yeah, this is, my analogy of the house. It leads me in the document here. I don't use the house analogy, but same thing to the Four Noble Truths. That all life is suffering. Why is all life suffering? That's not an end statement in itself. Shakyamuni has just identified the way you're living your life. Caged? Yeah, then all life appears to be suffering. But if you want to stop suffering, what's number 2? Dukkha is the result of cravings, incessant desires, both subconscious and conscious, right? Because our tendencies and conditions have a habit energy, as Shakyamuni would say later on. A habit of being fearful of trying something, of a habit of not wanting to see a certain truth, a habit of hiding our fears in an activity that we, like drinking, like drugs, like sex, like taking a desire and hiding in it. Oh, we're really good at that. So 3, now that it's no mystery, now that it's not karma being handed to you, that you understand you have agency in this situation, whatever it is, to emancipate life of dukkha, of stress, anxiety, so on, one must cease the cravings or that which forms those cravings, karma. You have to take it by the reins and lead instead of just waiting for it to happen to you, waiting for life to happen. See, this is how people think. Life is happening to me. What can I do? Shakyamuni says, wake up. Life is here for you. How you experience life is up to you. So he prescribed in the 4th Noble Truth, follow this Eightfold Path. Not because those are the rules, again, imposed upon you, but the Eightfold Path is different sectors of being in life, in society, with yourself, with your family, with others, guidelines for how you might behave in order to open your mind and conduct your life in a value-creating, self-constructing, self-determined, nurturing, beautiful way. But that was just a structure to give people an idea. The Eightfold Path wasn't the answer. It wasn't Buddha-ness, although that's in the 8th, right? The samadhi, the meditation for self-realization. The others were how do you behave in society? How do you judge? How do you evaluate your day-to-day activities? And by the way, activities that you thought you were born into in your caste might not be nurturing the best ideas about the value of life, the energy of life. You may be not doing something of value. You may have to reconsider. You mean I don't have to be in my caste? No, the caste system is something being imposed on you, and that imposition ain't of your making. But I was born into it. But every moment you make your life. Doesn't matter how you start. It matters how you behave toward the next moment, the future. Wow, this was earth-shattering stuff at the time. It's amazing he lived as long as he did. So, I transition here in my forward to capture something of Nichiren's teachings. And it's something that he got from Tendai. How does this all relate to 3,000 realms in a single thought moment? So the teaching of 3,000 realms in a single thought moment evolves from the method of teaching. All right? It's not that you can look in the universe and find that boilerplate that says 3,000. That's the number of realms we're expanding here, working with. No. This is one of those expedient means. And what it's drilling down to, because this is what Buddhism does, right? Drills down into things until we get to the ultimate truth. The 3,000 realms in the single thought moment goes back to what I was saying about the speed of causation and how impossible it is for us to dissect what's going on in our monkey mind, our samsaric mind, because it's happening so fast, at such a rate, that being preoccupied, that thing about quieting your mind, Your mind is always going at the speed of causality. You can't quiet it. You can quiet some of the disturbances, some of the distractions, but this is why we have a mandala, the ultimate funneling of our attention, right? But that's not it. That's not Gohonzon. That's not Buddha-ness. That's just a tool to get us to that opportunity. Make sense? But all this other stuff that drives samsara, that drives our cravings, our desires, our karma, what I call the freight train of karma, yeah? Because it's got all this momentum. And that momentum has the color, shape, definitions, ideas in it. That is the teaching of the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment. Look at how much is going on. Can you even understand? There's an inertia to that. There's a momentum to that, yeah? And your agency, which is what we insist in Buddhism, is the best way to live our lives, and we call it bodhisattva. Our agency for manifesting our enlightened life, that acts, those actions, thought, word, or deed, are juxtaposed, working with, rubbing up against, influencing that freight train of karma. And what's another word for that freight train of karma? Other than the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment. Ichinen Sanzen. Ichinen, momentum, Sanzen, 3,000. Aspects of momentum. That's what we're chanting and rubbing and influencing and polishing all the time. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Make sense? All these terms, all talking about the same thing. Amalgamations, sun times, there's all kinds of stuff in here. You get me started and I'll just keep talking, and pretty soon I'll have a whole book. Realms are particular containers, I say here, environments of tendencies and conditions, manifesting with their own momentum, timelines, if you will. Right? How many science fiction movies have we seen or heard of that deal with all these alternate timelines, right? We kind of appropriate Schrodinger's cat in the discussion of the multiverse and all that. All those are potential agencies, opportunities for our minds to select amongst 3,000 potentials. The number's not important, but just potential in any given moment. Which ones do we select? Which ones do we mix? Which ones do we discard? Which ones do we act upon? It's happening so fast. Our only hope with our agency to maximize our potential manifestation in life, in this experience, like the lotus flower, our blossoming, is to stay focused on the target. What should that target be? It should be the most life validating, beautiful instantiation of all that potential. It should be the best. And what kind of name can we give that best? The target. Nichiren gives that name, the best, Go Honzon. And immediately that term becomes the experience of that target. Buddha. Buddha-ness. So that's the goal. But in samsara, the goal is hard to see. So we have to create a target in order to see it. That target is Gohon, not the mandala, the Gohonzon. The mandala has all of the conceptual ideas to validate, to see, to give our samsaric mind the focus of the target we're attaining. And as soon as we penetrate that focus, the mandala starts to do weird things because it's not important anymore. What's important is where it's sending our mind to Gohonzon, to Buddha-ness. That's the whole train trip, yeah? Let's see, what else do I talk about in here? DNA, the mind becomes the thing that contains or manifests consciousness, blah, 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 blah. The 100 realms or worlds, yeah, so then I go into, now that I have all this concept for you, then I go into the 100 realms or worlds. We hear about the 10 worlds. Sometimes I don't like that translation. I think realms works better to conceive of energy in a physical sense, a manifesting sense, yeah? Whereas worlds seems like already done, right? That very problem of ownership. Realms, it's more of an action, more of a verb rather than a noun. Anyway, so I go through that. Then I have an illustration. Here's an excerpt from Kumarajiva's collection of the Lotus Sutra in the Devadatta chapter, translated into English. The Buddha addresses the monks saying, if in the future there are sons and daughters of a virtuous family, in other words, they're moving toward enlightenment rather than playing their samsaric roles, who, upon hearing the Devadatta chapter of the Lotus Sutra, accept it with pure minds and without doubt, they shall not fall into the realms of hell or to the states of hungry ghosts or of animals, but will be born in the presence of the Buddhas in the 10 directions. We read that kind of rhetoric all the time. What is it talking about? It's exactly what I've been saying. Our samsaric realms are bound up into these ideas of fear and suffering and pain and anxiety and stress. Those are the realms: hell, hunger, animality, the 10 realms we learn about when we start practicing Nichiren's doctrine of the Lotus Sutra, or even without Nichiren, right? The Lotus Sutra. The authorities are here. They know I'm teaching Buddhism. Anyway, sorry about that. I'm sure you heard the helicopter going overhead. Wherever they may be, they will always hear this sutra. What does that mean? They will always hear, what is this sutra? Myoho Renge Kyo. If they are born among humans or devas, they will enjoy a supreme and delightful contentment. And if the presence of a Buddha, in the presence of the Buddha, they will be born spontaneously in a lotus flower, in a renge, in enlightenment. See how all this language starts to make sense now? When you understand that renge is that aha, I have agency, this is a wonderful life, realization. No matter what you're born into or you drove yourself into, when you hear Myoho Renge Kyo, he's spelling it out. This is from the Devadatta chapter of the Lotus Sutra, right? This is leading up to the enlightenment of Devadatta, the most sworn enemy of Buddha. And then I get into the lifespan chapter, which Nichiren constantly invokes in his justification of the doctrines he's expounding that are obvious in the Lotus Sutra, that all of the contemporary teachers in his time have cast aside in favor of the authoritarian structure of controlling people. It's powerful. They love it. Yum, yum, yum. I get to have power. That's not Buddhism. That's politic, yeah? I swear Marx would have been an amazing Buddhist. All right, so I'm going to end there. Not sure where I'm going to start tomorrow. But I hope that you get this book. I'm not reading it word for word. I'm scanning it. And this 3,000 Realms concept, I have always believed is central to our understanding of all of Shakyamuni's teachings. What is Buddhism? What is this transitory state between samsaric, locked-in, physical appearance of reality when in fact life isn't happening in this physical realm? Life is happening in our minds. That's how we have agency to affect the way we course through life. With our momentum, yeah? Just like a skier going down a steep mountain. You can just let the skis run you right into the trees. Or you can learn to manipulate the skis to afford you a more amazing experience of going down that hill, yeah? All right, enough blah, blah, blah. Thank you for being here. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Most of all, subscribe. Not for me, not for you, for all of us to grow this Sangha. It's our bodhisattva activity to propagate these teachings. And I thank you profusely for that, because it takes some courage. It takes some effort, right? There's no magic pill here. This is your agency, your actions, right? So thank you. Patrons, you support all of us. So if you can, on Patreon, PayPal, buy books from the bookstore, even download from the ebooks page. It's a little bit, but all of the many little bits make a universe, my friends. So thank you. Thank you for any effort you make, even if it's all you can do right now to just subscribe. It's support, and I deeply appreciate it. So do we all. Take care of your health, right? Be kind to yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.